Welcome to the Rock Play, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, he's back from his week away crushing cycles of HGH to get ready for the enhanced games. It's Justin Housman.
Yeah, I get that reference because I did read the first entry in the outline today about the enhanced games.
I was so mad that we didn't get to record last week when I saw that headline. I'm like, oh, this is tailor-made for us.
Yeah, I don't. HGH scares me a little bit. I thought about testosterone before. Like, how could that be bad? How could that possibly turn me into a rage-fueled terror beast?
You come on one day, you're just screaming,
just like eating the microphone.
Fucking multi-tools, man! Fucking hate these things.
But at least I'm stronger, you know.
That's right. Just crushing your microphone in your hand.
Yeah.
How was Hawaii?
Well, I don't know if you know about this, but it is paradise there.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's a little
and experienced.
Yeah, it's a little hard to come home, even though I thought I lived in paradise already. I live in a colder version of paradise, I guess. So it was great. It was great. It's nice to downshift a little bit when you. We have two little kids, 4 and 2, and my wife and I were huge travelers before the kids, and we're still kind of have that instinct to be like, okay, which 38 things can we do today? You know, like the kids are great because anybody with this is not like this is new information, but you know, they're like, where do you want to go to the beach? Like, oh, right. We can just do that instead. So we just mostly went to the beach. It was fantastic.
Did you any surf store? Did you run any locals run-ins or anything like that?
No, not really. Although, so we I surfed a lot at this reef in Poipu Beach, which is like it's super touristy, but so there were like a couple locals that would paddle out, but they're super chill. And the waves weren't like firing, so no one's like getting their feelings hurt if they're not catching waves. But we did go and like tour around the island. There's a wave that like Hawaii is pretty known for being the most extreme localism, or that doesn't really work. Having the most extreme localized spots in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Pipeline's pretty heavy on the North Shore, but like there's a group called the Wolf Pack, which was like everybody was afraid of, like in the 90s and 2000s in Kauai, and so yeah, and it has some extremely heavy waves. And a buddy of mine from Kauai was like, "Hey, here's go check out these few places, and here's a wave that like you've probably seen before, but like don't surf it, but go check it out, you know." And so like we went down to, I won't say what it's called, but we went and like found it, and it's in this little community where there's not much around, and there's a community, and there's a beautiful beach and an absolutely world class, extremely heavy wave. And we were there, it was kind of breaking, but it was like just getting down to the beach there is kind of nerve-wracking, just because you see signs everywhere that are like respect the locals. They're like hand drawn in like very angry font, and like like no one's gonna do anything to you. Like you can go to the beach and they're like whatever, but like had I tried to paddle out up the point, it would have been a problem. Even though there was like not really any waves, but just feeling that a little bit. And like we were there for not that long, and I was watching it, hoping to see a set come, and like I could just see out of the corner of my eye just some like dudes that live like right across the street, kind of, oh, what's this Dodge Charger doing here? What's this? Like, all right, let's just go. So that's the closest. That's the closest I got. But people, and like I've heard stories of people getting hassled just looking at it before. So thankfully it wasn't like firing. But it's also like this is like the kind of thing like we probably talked about in the podcast. I'm such a fan of localism in surfing. Like to me, it's good. It makes all the sense in the world. And like this little spot especially, because it's like there's nothing around. There's for some reason a little community in this little cove, and of like a few streets and probably 30 houses, and like, yeah, that's their wave. Like it's literally their backyard. Yeah. Like nobody has a right to surf there at all.
Look, if it was the only wave in the world where you could surf, then maybe we have a conversation.
Sure,
I was nervous about that. Because I basically I learned to surf when I was living in Washington, and anywhere I would go up there, there was plenty of days I was the only person out, right? Mm-hmm. And it was fine. And I'm sure there's spots, right? But wherever I went, it was like never even thought of it. Then it's like, oh, you're moving to Southern California. I got really nervous. I'm like, is this going to be like the end of my surfing career before I even doing it? Because you just, the stories about locals and stuff like that. And you just, if you approach it right and you learn where to go and what to do and what's okay and what's not, you probably avoid most of that. I think it's just, like the other day I was in the grocery store. I was thinking about this. There's a guy walking around in the grocery store doing the cart drag with like his pinky, like dragging the cart behind him, right? Yeah. It's like that, like, okay, so you're already like it's not going to go off the rails. You're going to bang into something. And he's got his phone in front of him on speaker, and he's yelling at whoever he's talking to, and the other person on the phone is yelling back. We're in the middle of a Ralph's, and it's just like, okay, see, that's the guy that doesn't think about what you should do in a certain situation.
Right, when there's other people around, yeah.
Right, the odds of him getting into a locals-only situation, way higher than me.
Totally. Yeah, it's a good point. Like, I don't know if what's weird is I'm not particularly confrontation averse. Like, if someone cuts me off in traffic, like they'll probably hear about it, or even just like walking around. Like, I'll be like, hey, that's not how you walk or whatever, But like when it comes to this sort of thing, I'm just like so full of deference. Just like, yep, okay, is it okay to be here? Like, what and like even this little like random like little reef I was surfing in Poipu, which again, it's like right in front of a bunch of hotels and like board rental spots. Thankfully, it's a little shallow and like not intimidating, but like you're not gonna get total beginners there. Right. But it's like anytime anyone who looks like they're from there is like paddling for a wave, it's like, okay, it's your way. I don't care if it's my turn or not. Go ahead, It's fine. So.
Adjust your expectations, people.
Yeah.
Today, of course, Justin and I will be discussing some headlines that have come out of the outdoor industry over the past week or so, because there's a couple things that came out while you were out of town. But before we get to any of that, we are recording this on Friday, February 9th, which means we made it to the weekend, which means it's also time for America's favorite podcast segment, What is Justin Doing?, presented by Long Weekend Coffee. So, Justin, American wants to know, what are you doing this weekend?
This is going to be news to everyone, but packing up the house. We're moving to Kauai this weekend. Yeah, had to say it quietly.
That's your wife is screaming something at you in the background. What's going on?
Don't worry about her. She'll come around. I'll probably just be crying into a Mai Tai that I made myself at home, listening to Hawaiian music. That's what I'm doing this weekend.
A little rough to come back during the atmospheric river, I guess.
You know what? We missed a pretty heinous storm. Also, just want to give props out to Hawaiian Airlines. Like, the day we flew home, it was like my phone is blowing up with like massive weather alerts for
Don't come home today, you're going to die.
Yeah. And like the winds were supposed to be blowing like 50 miles an hour at the airport. And like our flight was not delayed. We got in a little early. Like, it got a little twisty on the way down, completely fine. But like arrived to like this, all of West Marin County was out of power for like days. So, but our block was okay. But we missed like apparently like an actual hurricane. It was awesome.
I was wondering I was thinking about you, and you were coming home on Sunday, I think, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
man,
there's no way.
I went for a ride last night, and I've never seen as much devastation around here as I saw last night. Like, big trees down, huge like ruts in places I've never seen before. Like, it got wild while we were gone. But so I'll also be doing some of that this week. A little damage reconnaissance. Got to see what the trails are like.
But what is Justin doing this weekend? It's presented by Long Weekend Coffee. With 4 varieties of beans, Long Weekend is the best choice of coffee for all of your adventures, not just on the weekend. Head to longweekend.coffee. Be sure to enter the code ROCK10 at checkout and get 10% off your first order. Get the Secret Handshake. I just got 5 bags of Secret Handshake, and it showed up the other day. It's the best blend from Long Weekend Coffee. Long Weekend Coffee. More weekend, please. So let's get into some headlines. Usually I build up to the story that I think we're going to talk about the most.
Pickleball?
But this first headline came out last week, as I alluded to in our opening, while you were out surfing in Hawaii, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it because we're talking about the Enhanced Games.
Enhanced Pickleball.
Now you're just being smart. Like, yeah, that's what we need. We need giant, like, Schwarzenegger-looking dudes playing pickleball. Like, you get killed if you hit by an errant pickleball because they hit it so hard. Last week, Canada's Running Magazine reported that the week before that, the man behind the doping-enthused Enhanced Games, Aaron D'Souza, has revealed he received millions of dollars in financial backing for his entrepreneurial idea a year and a half before his first planned games in the summer of 2025. That idea is to provide an alternative to what organizers perceive as a corrupt Olympics. They criticized the International Olympic Committee for its alleged exploitation of athletes, lack of payment of athletes, and rejection of enhanced world records. And the Enhanced Games.
Real piece of work. Sorry, I don't know you, Aaron. Sorry. Let's go.
I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but I
disagree with the corruption of the Olympics to a certain degree, but like, I can already tell I don't like this guy.
I totally. Ben Johnson was probably an okay guy, right? Does anyone remember Ben Johnson?
Of course.
So the Enhanced Games promotes the use of science and focuses on core sports, aiming to break world records and ensure fair compensation for athletes. They argue that performance-enhancing drugs, when used responsibly, can significantly enhance training outcomes and allow athletes to reach their full potential. Now, this feral, like Roman gladiator in the Colosseum part of me is like all in on this idea. So what do you think?
I think that this guy already owns a pair of those Apple Vision Pro and a Cybertruck. This is the guy that you see online right now driving a Cybertruck wearing his Vision Pro goggles, don't you think? I mean, this seems very startup tech bro saving the world. Let's magnify human potential, like hogwash. I'm going to be honest with you. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't.
Well, one of the investors was Peter Thiel, so we're in that. We're in the right world.
See, like I don't have a problem with the idea necessarily, but like maybe it's just the I don't know. Was this a press release that you read all that from?
Yeah, it was in I was mostly from
Canada's running magazine.
Canada's running magazine. Yeah.
I mean, aiming to break world records, they don't count if you're on drugs. Like, what does that even? You're going to make your own.
That's what I mean.
Like look, I don't.
If this thing happens and it's on TV, I will be tuning in with a bucket of popcorn. I want to see what happens. And I don't really know actually why would I mean if they're how are you going to be able to
what
tell?
They are. Like how can you exactly like if it's cycling, like I don't know if you're riding 5 minutes faster. I can't tell. Like that's not going to be that interesting. It's going to have to be.
You know,
there's an SNL skit from like back in the 80s or something where there's like an all steroids Olympics. Do you remember this?
We posted it on rockfight.co.
You did? Where the guy rips his arms off? Yeah.
Yeah, the all drugs game.
Exactly. Like that's great. If you want to do weightlifting shit, I'll watch that. I'll watch, or like who are they going to get? Because I mean, for the most part, if you start openly doing drugs to win the enhanced games, you're not going to be able to compete in like most other things. Like you're going to be on WADA's hit list, the World Anti-Doping Association's hit list. And so goodbye regular Olympics, goodbye regular sports, like you're done. So good luck.
Is it just are you just going to go pull all disgraced athletes out of the or
off the back what it's going to be? It's going to be a lot of bored people that are like, I'll do like horse tranquilizers and like whatever it takes to like throw something further, and like people that aren't that good at these sports anyway.
The games are going to focus on a limited number of single person events that are of high interest, like track and field, swimming, gymnastics, boxing, and weightlifting. And they plan to dispense with events that people aren't interested in, like badminton, curling, and long-distance running.
I kind of feel like those long-distance running, but like badminton with a bunch of yoked-up dudes, that might be more fun. I think this is a big misstep. I mean, the more I'm thinking about it.
Me too.
There's no, like, Ben Johnson is a great example. Like, he won by, like a half a second or something. It's like, am I supposed to be able to tell?
Yeah, the only way this is interesting is if you can show how much better they are by being enhanced, right? So you have to have like a bunch of normal people in there or something like that. Because you're right, against other world-class athletes or against other people who are doping, it's just going to look like anything you would see at the Olympics. How is this going to look different?
This makes a lot more sense for something like a counting sport or something like baseball or something where you have to score more. Like if it's like, or you want to see somebody hit home runs every at bat or something. But for track and field, like, even if someone ran the 100 meters, is that what Bolt is famous for? Whatever the thing they run in like something 9 point something seconds. If somebody ran it in 5 seconds, like is that even going to look that different? Like I don't.
That's what I mean. Like I'm pouring water all over my flame for the enhanced games, but it's true. Like I don't really know how you execute this where you care, and then it's tainted by the fact that like, well, they're all just doing whatever they want anyway. I think the best example probably of watching something where people have been doping was probably cycling back in the 2000s, where you can have someone who's like crushed one day and then comes back the next and like wins the stage, right? But it's still not any more exciting watching the activity when it's actually happening.
I think there's like a viral tweet that goes around every time any kind of Olympics happens, and it's someone saying that like this would be way cooler if there was regular people doing it too, so you could see how good these people are at these things.
I agree with that.
And like that maybe I guess you said that earlier. Like if you had like regular athletes competing alongside,
yeah, like you and I are standing there next to like Usain Bolt or these enhanced people, they're just like decimating us. We're not even halfway around the track.
I mean, that's what American Gladiators was, right? Like weren't there regular people in that like that were trying to like, or like they were pretty athletic, but they were like trying to get through the obstacle courses with these like incredible Hulks throwing like Nerf balls at them and stuff.
Pretty much. Yeah, I loved that show when I was a kid. There's actually a Netflix documentary about that. It should have been like an hour-long documentary, and they tried to stretch it out into like 8 episodes or something like that, so I didn't finish it. But just seeing how that all came together, and that's kind of what you're tapping into. Like, I would watch that again. If that came back, And it was like, here's Joe from Fargo, North Dakota going against, Gemini from who's cut from the Raiders yesterday. He's inside linebacker. Like, yeah, I kind of want to watch that.
The thing with the enhanced games or American Gladiators that still, I guess, rankles me a little tiny bit, and we've talked about this so many times, but it's like, is there that big of a difference between someone who does HGH and someone who just lifts weights all day?
Probably not.
I mean,
I'm sure they tell you that there
I don't mean like in terms of like capability, but it's like, I still think it's a bummer that to be like a professional baseball player, you have to lift weights like every day now. When it didn't used to be like that. You used to be able to just show up and be like, I'm just good at this. And now it's like, well, I got to be in the gym 5 days a week or else I can't compete. Like, that sucks. Like, why not just what if you just didn't lift weights but you took steroids? Would that work?
Yeah, I remember reading Rocky Blyer, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s, and it was a whole thing about he went to Vietnam and was injured in the war and came back and still played in the NFL. But I'm talking about like training camp back then. We're like, guys didn't do anything from when the season ended.
It was actually training camp to get in shape.
Yeah, they came to training camp. So, yeah, I don't really understand too. They're like something they're trying to portray this as it's unfair to people that they're not allowed to do this stuff. Like, yeah, I don't really.
That's because Peter Thiel thinks it's unfair they can't like implant Neuralinks in everybody. All right, these people are all like obsessed with like perfecting the human race because they're bored and they're sad.
And there you have it.
There you have it.
We figured it out.
Yeah.
Well, still, I'd be interested to see if this actually happens. I mean, they've raised a lot of money for it, it sounds like. So it sounds like they're going to really give this a go. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But keeping that theme going, the next thing I wanted to talk about was an article that ran on a website called InsideTheGames.biz and about the first ESports Olympics, which are also coming in 2025. And the quote is from Thomas Bach, who's the current president of the International Olympic Committee, who probably has some choice words for the Enhanced Games. What's Thomas Bach think of the Enhanced Games?
Wait, he's the president of the actual International Olympic Committee?
Yeah.
The current, like where the people actually, okay.
Yeah. So he said, I think we can expect the first edition of the Olympic Esports Games in 2025 or 2026 at the latest. He pointed out that on one hand, there are virtual sports with physical activity, while on the other hand, some of the most popular electronic games are in line with Olympic values. I think we can put together a very interesting but also values-based program. How do you feel about esports coming to the Olympics?
I guess I'm ready to, I think I'm ready to burn everything down. I think that's it. I think that might be what I was waiting for. This
was it?
That's it. Let's pull the plug on all this. I mean, who thinks that's a good idea?
I'd be more interested in watching good, gamers probably play games than the enhanced games. Now that we've kind of dissected that one.
For how long?
Well, that's a good point.
I mean, I'll watch if I every once in a while I'll see one of those someone solved Super Mario Brothers 2 in 30 seconds, and I'll be like, oh whoa, how'd they get all the way? How'd they jump past all the flaming things?
Because that's your generation games.
Yeah,
right?
but if you throw somebody last thing I want to watch is someone playing Minecraft or Call of Duty or whatever the hell they play ever. I don't want to see that period. Video games depress the shit out of me, generally speaking. So I'm definitely
Have you ever
not
been
the
into
market
them?
Here. Yeah, when I was younger, I loved video games, and even I tried to get back into it in my 20s a little bit. I'd buy a system here and there, and I'd get home from bartending and play Call of Duty till 3 a.m. But I mean, honestly, once you I don't have a problem with video games, but for other people, play them if you want to. But for me personally, once I started building a life around being outside, the very last thing I want to be doing ever is playing a video game. It feels like it's just a massive waste of time for myself. I mean, I have no judgment if you like playing video games. I get why you do.
I feel like this is the lowest I've seen you go. I feel bad now. I shouldn't have put this on the outline.
No, I'm not that upset about it. I mean, I'm not. Okay. I'll be fine.
You seem like a little.
I'll be fine.
Okay, good. Well, let's move on then. Let's move on to something else that's equally as depressing, even if it's
great,
more in the natural world. Well, it was a story that ran on explorersweb.com about shark attacks doubling in 2023. The University of Florida's International Shark Attack Files 2023 data has revealed that last year was not a good one for humans versus sharks. And I have a reason I brought this up. But of the 120 shark attacks investigated, 69 were considered unprovoked. 10 of these unprovoked attacks proved to be fatal. Mm-hmm. This doubles the number of 2022 fatalities.
Were most of those in Australia?
There's definitely some of those there. There were more in the U.S. I think there were 6 unprovoked fatalities. What does that mean?
In the U.S.?
There were some in the U.S., yeah.
Huh.
But I just go back to my stance of this is kind of like the What was the thing we talked about? Oh, about the skin cancer thing. Like, do we want to publicize these statistics? Like, there's a real fear of sharks for some folks. Like, what good does this do? Right? Because, I looked it up. Chances of dying in a car crash are about 1 in 100, depending on what you look at. Chances of dying by shark attack is 1 in like 4 million.
Yeah, I think lightning is usually you usually have a higher odds of getting struck by lightning, typically.
Yeah, right. But someone will read this and be like, "Oh, see, it's why I don't go in the ocean." Yeah, I just don't think this is worth publicizing it.
Frankly, that's fine with me. People want to think that.
The surf industry is going to start publicizing these.
So I mean, when I was at Surfer, we covered this a lot, as you can imagine, this kind of thing. And I do think that there's value in it in places where there's a pretty heavy, well, there's a lot of sharks and a lot of people in the water at the same time. I mean, if there's like we've seen in California an increase in shark attacks over historical numbers, and a lot of that's because there's more sharks than there used to be. And so because we stopped in the 70s or whatever, like we started passing legislation that like to help the fisheries. And a lot of this is like the Clean Water Act and stuff like that, where you had to stop like dumping shit in the ocean, and like fishermen had to be a little bit more like proactive about not overfishing and blah, 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 blah. And when that happened, the sharks came back in pretty high numbers. And so, it could be the kind of thing where you grew up in a place and there were never really shark attacks, and now they're not frequent, but like they happen now, and it's simply because there's more sharks, and you might not be aware of it. Like I do think there's value in that.
Yeah, that's like Cape Cod's a good example, like of all the encounter. Like there's so many more sharks there now than there used to be.
Or like in Australia, like netting and drum lines are a huge thing. Where some of the beaches are netted, a lot of the beaches they have what are called drum lines, where they hang basically fish hooks like out on the perimeter of the beaches and like trap and kill sharks.
Right.
But Australia is getting kind of hammered with attacks and fatalities. Like that's their numbers are going up. And there's a big uproar about drum lines. Like a lot of people really want them. A lot of people think they're abhorrent. So I do think it's interesting, but I also feel like the unprovoked thing is kind of funny. Because what does that mean? You don't even know the shark is there. But
so I'm in the article now. It's like, it's a lot of this is in Australia, but however, it was the U.S. that led the world in total unprovoked attacks with 35 of the worldwide total of 69.
That's usually in Florida because like bull sharks, I think they're bull sharks, and like pretty sure maybe not, that might be Australia. There's a kind of shark that's in Florida that is just like always around and like in the surf zone, and so people just like bang into them and they get bit.
Okay. But they said majority of attacks were test bites. The sharks are confused. Like that's usually what it is.
We've learned a lot about that kind of thing. Like we've now know that like they probably don't really mistake you for prey. Like oftentimes it's that they're territorial, and so you get too close to them. Like anything else, a cat will do the same thing. They'll lash out at you because you're in their space. So like that's pretty common. Like they're swimming around and they see like a big shape, like, oh, what the fuck, and they bite you. But I'm still not really afraid of sharks. I mean, in Kauai, there's a couple spots I wouldn't surf because I wouldn't want to be out there by myself, and I don't know that zone. Like maybe that's a sharky zone, But like, and there's spots around here I won't surf. But I've still never seen a shark. I've been surfing since I was 13 years old. I've never seen a shark in the Red Triangle. Never. I've seen dogfish, which are a tiny version of sharks that are totally harmless to people, and they're pretty small. But they are sharks, I guess. I've seen a lot of those where I grew up. But like an actual like shark that could hurt you, I've never seen one in person.
I mean, so you think it's a good thing to publicize these statistics? I mean, I'm not really suggesting we hide things, but I just sort of like, it's another one of these things that people are just going to take the wrong way.
Well, I don't love like scare tactics or like, if it bleeds, it leads kind of news stuff. I get like, which is kind of what this would be. I'm very familiar with the Florida lab that compiles this. Because that's like the main one you use for data if you're going to write about sharks, and it's a pretty easy story to write. So like, oh, sharks are up, shark attacks are up. I get like I don't think the like, attack part is that interesting. I think because all that means is there's sharks because they're going to bite things that are around them. So like to me, it's more interesting. Like, oh wow, sharks are coming back. Like that's more interesting to me than the actual fact that they bite people. Because again, it's not like they're hunting you. It's way different than it's like I'm afraid of bears. I'm not afraid of sharks.
Yeah.
Like that seems gnarlier to me. I don't know I wonder how many more people are killed by bears than sharks.
Bear attacks are more likely to be fatal. Shark attacks more frequent. That's right. We looked this up. Yeah. Number of bear related fatalities outpaced shark fatalities by 4.5 times. Because like usually the shark's just curious or they're doing their thing and they're territorial, whatever, but then they swim away and you're like, fuck, I got it. Now I'm bleeding. Yeah, versus a bear attack. If you get attacked by a bear, have fun with that. Good luck.
Yeah, either way, I don't really want that to happen.
Well, the last thing I wanted to talk about, I thought this was interesting from an adventure travel point of view. It was on adventure.com by journalist Cassandra Cluse. She reported that Delta's efforts to reduce single-use cups and other waste on their flights.
Okay.
Airline, as air travel hits the environment, not just from an emissions standpoint, she wrote, but she also cites a 2016 statistics that airline passengers produce 5.7 million tons of waste, much of which is single-use plastic cups.
They do love to give you those cups.
2016.
They are so pumped on those cups. You want some more cups?
Oh, yeah, they can't wait. They'll give you 6 of them if you ask for them.
You sure you don't want a cup? No, I don't need a cup. Are you sure?
We don't even have to put anything in it. Just here's a cup.
Yeah, just take the cup. Just take
the
cup.
It says Delta on the side. She writes that even the most simplest sounding solutions, like moving to paper cups in place of single-use plastic, comes with challenges. Delta's, they've been quoted as saying paper cups don't hold cold drinks or alcoholic beverages as well. And even most paper cups have a thin plastic lining, making them more difficult to recycle than even the plastic cups. So I think about this stuff every time I'm on a plane, I do make an effort to kind of use less stuff when I'm, on a trip, but then it's still like you're on your 5-hour flight, you're hungry. It's like, yeah, I'll have the cheese and
it does feel like all bets are off on an airplane. I never really thought about it before. It kind of
does.
Yeah.
But so you just traveled on planes with your family. I mean, did you consider any of this while you were traveling? Were you thinking about it?
Nope.
Just you're like, I'm in. Let's go.
I've never given it thought, which is amazing. Like I've thought before about like the emissions of air travel, but I don't fly that often. I mean, at this point, it's kind of once a year to Hawaii. So, maybe one other trip sprinkled in here or there. But when I used to fly a lot for work, I felt a little bit weird about it. But it is something. All bets are off once the door closes. Like I don't care. It's wild.
I think it's as soon as you enter the airport.
Kinda, yeah. Like I would never, like right now, if I went and got like a cup of coffee, like I'm religious. I never ever use paper cups of coffee. I have 8 million tumblers, so I always take it with me. And if I have, for some reason, don't have one, I feel really shitty about it. I would. Well, I try to always at
the shop, like I'll get it for here, like put it in a mug for me, whatever,
Well, and like there's a bar down the street that I go to all the time that has outside seating, and they used to just give you like plastic disposable cups, and I would talk to them about it. Like, this is insane. And I'm not saying it's because of me, but they finally switched to like actual plastic mugs that they can just wash. And I'm like, this is way better. But yeah, on an airplane, God, I never think about it. That's so funny.
It's like, it is kind of still the Wild West. I mean, you walk in an airport, it could be like 5:30 in the morning. You're like, hey, we should probably start drinking. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, that's true.
There's a weird thing about travel. There's no rules.
Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of rules, but like in terms of like normal everyday behavior,
because it's not even I don't know. Even if it's not a vacation, because like now if I'm flying, it's more likely because I'm going somewhere for fun, so I feel like I can do whatever I want. But like even if it was like a work trip, it's like, yeah, I'll get a beer at 3:00, sure.
But what's the solution? I mean, how do you get people? Because I definitely make an effort to try and take a bottle with me now, so
I don't know.
I can fill up a bottle of water.
I don't think they would let or maybe you know what? Maybe that's the only place we get plastic cups now. I don't know. I don't really use plastic cups unless I'm on the plane. But now I'm thinking about how many I used on this trip. A lot.
So 5.7 million tons, right?
I think tons. That's a lot. That seems like a lot.
Not a million pounds, million tons.
Yeah.
What would the cost of plane tickets be if they'd have said, "Hey, it's BYOB. Right? We're not going to serve you anymore"? What kind of savings? I
don't know why they don't do that. I mean, frankly, like I don't need like it is kind of weird that they're just like, here's food. Like, they're the only time in the world you get free shit, and it's not free. Obviously, you're paying for it, but like, why is that like an expected thing? I'm on a plane for 5 hours. Where's my little meal? Like, that doesn't happen in any other thing.
I would take a world where it's either we're cutting it entirely, bring your own shit. You're in an airport. Airports have so many different restaurants.
Yeah,
a lot of people do, or we're going to go all in and give you really good food. Like, this is going to be like, we're going to cater this flight, and it's going to be more expensive, but you're going to get an actual meal. Like, the sort of in-between meals we get kind of sucks.
They don't make it obvious. Like when we left the other day, I'm like, I'm really hungry. I'll just get something at the airport because I'm an idiot. And I get there and I'm like, oh, damn it. Like, the only thing is there was a Pete's Coffee and they had bagel breakfast sandwiches and they were $13. Now, it was amazing. Of course, I got one. It was like shockingly good. Like, holy smokes. Yeah, it was really, really,
airport Pete's bagel sandwich
was, and it was huge. Like, I was like, oh, I see why it's $13. Like, the egg was like 2 inches thick and there's like it was really good. But we get on the plane. We're like, take off like an hour into the flight. Like, okay, here's our complimentary service. Guess what? Here's a free breakfast sandwich. I'm just like, God, I had no way of knowing there was going to be free food on this flight.
Like you just fucking wolfed that
right
thing
after
down. You
had
two
another,
sandwiches.
right after I had, but it's like, had I known there were.
And then your kids didn't eat theirs. You ate theirs too, didn't you?
Of course. because you can't get full on an airplane. People don't realize this, but no matter what, you cannot get full.
No, you don't get calories in an airplane. They just evaporate. So are you going to think about your single-use cups now when next time you travel after we talked about this?
I actually do. I will say I usually don't take the cup when it's offered to me.
Okay.
But
you bring your own water.
Well, I'll be like, just give me the whole can. Because the only thing I really have on a plane is the tomato juice. Because I'm one of those weirdos that like I'll never drink. I never even think of tomato juice. And the moment I get on an airplane, I'm like, all I want right now is tomato juice. Do you know about this? This is a thing.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. There's people have like done like studies on this. I swear to God, it's a thing where people like crave Bloody Mary mix on airplanes. It's true. It's really true. And it's something.
Are you drinking Bloody Marys and you just don't want to cop to it, or like is it a
No, I don't really. I hate Bloody. I don't
That's
like vodka.
so weird.
Yeah.
Do you like V8?
No, unless I'm on an airplane and they're like, give me the Bloody Mary mix. It's
How many did you drink on your trip?
One on each trip, one on each flight.
Wow. Tomato juice, huh?
Always.
I know what to get you for Christmas.
I can't believe you've never thought about this or heard about this. This
is
really.
It's not. I don't believe it's a thing.
I'm not suggesting that you do it
up.
right now, but if you Google it, you will see things on there about like the weirdness of people wanting tomato juice on airplanes.
Craving tomato juice on an airplane.
Yeah, but point is that they'll be like, "Do you want the whole can?" I'm always like, "Yeah," because I don't want to deal with that cup. But mostly it's because I don't want to like have to have it because I'm like, now where do I put this cup?
Well, that's a good. I mean, I guess they don't offer you a whole can for everything because they have to like serve an entire airplane.
Oh, they'll give you the can.
They will if you ask, but you'd think you just give me the can. What are you doing? Like, give me the can.
Yeah.
Or they put half a can in a plastic cup. No, come on. Good times. We can wrap it up there, man. Anything else you got going on? What's going on with AJ? What's the next AJ coming out soon? Right?
Pretty soon. Yeah. I think we're sending it to the print shop today to get the official proofs. I think so. That means next week. Second round of proofs, and then it probably goes I think it goes to the printer next week, and we're pretty stoked on this one. There's some like I'm proofing all the articles right now, and it's like a few that get your palms pretty sweaty, and one that made me tear up a little bit. It's a really good issue, so we're stoked on it. Yeah, and it's the first one that has.
Can you tease some
slight the cover? Is that what you're going to ask for?
Yeah.
No. Go to our socials. Check it out. I think I'm also not 100% sure that this is officially the one. I think I've seen the cover. Yeah, this is the first one that has some little tweaks where like the font's a little different and like the departments are different. So we're pretty stoked about it. But yeah,
right on.
Oh, and Surfer Surfer Magazine is making a print issue again.
When did that come out? When did that start?
Well, the website's been back for like a couple of years now, but they decided recently they're going to do because Powder did this. Powder did a print issue, and I guess it did pretty well. And so they want to try it with Surfer now. So they've tapped me to do a couple things for that. So I guess I have to get my surf journalism hat back on. But I don't know much about that. Just this one. It's a one-off. So I'm going to do a couple stories for that. So I'll talk about that when that comes out. Yeah, that should be cool. I'm a little ambivalent about it, but.
Let's teach you to hate surfing again. It'd be great.
Yeah. Doesn't take much.
All right, well, be sure to follow The Rock Fight wherever you are listening, and please give us a rating and review. You can also head to rockfight.co and sign up for our newsletter. It comes out weekly, comes out every Sunday. Check that out. We are a production of Rock Fight LLC. For Justin Housman, I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening. And here to take us out is the greatest ska vocalist who ever lived. It's Krista Makes with the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.